Back after the break. We're going to start by just naming the people on this selection committee. Jeff Long, Director of Athletics at the University of Southern California. Barry Alvarez.
Excuse me, Rob, wasn't it Pat Hayden from California and Jeff from Arkansas?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Jeff Long is from the University of Arkansas.
Yeah.
He's the chairman of the committee.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Barry Alvarez, former Wisconsin head coach and athletic director, as he's a Nebraska graduate. Lieutenant General Michael Gould, superintendent of the Air Force Academy, retired. Pat Hayden, the director of athletics for USC.
I like Pat Hayden.
Tom Jernstad, spent 38 years with the NCAA beginning in 1972. Rose to the title of executive vice president, and most notably oversees the men's basketball Final Four. So we got a basketball guy in here on this football committee.
Well, we got a lot of basketball teams playing football now.
Yeah. Oliver Luck, probably most famous as being Andrew Luck's daddy, but he is the director of athletics at West Virginia. Archie Manning from Drew, Mississippi. I can't remember what he did. Did he play football?
Maybe.
Maybe
he could scramble.
Maybe for Ole Miss or
Yeah.
somebody. Was it Ole Miss? That other Mississippi school?
Exactly.
Tom Osborne. Of course, he doesn't need any introduction.
Exactly.
Dan Rakovich, Director of Athletics at Clemson. Condoleezza Rice. And everybody knows who she is. If you don't, you haven't been alive for the last
She'd get
20
my
years.
vote for president.
Yeah, me too. Mike Tranganese was the Big East commissioner for 19 years until he retired in 2009. Steve Weiberg,
The writer from Missouri.
the USA Today writer from Missouri, and Tyrone Willingham. And we'll just talk about him first, since he's our last one on here. He's the last one on the committee, and Tyrone was the Notre Dame head coach, Stanford head coach, Washington Huskies head coach, and you could say I guess he had a good career in coaching, made a lot of money, but I don't know if this is a demotion or what. He is now a volunteer assistant for the Stanford women's golf team.
He should have stayed there coaching their football team.
If you were wondering where he's at now, he went from being college football coach to the assistant volunteer for the Stanford women's golf team.
That's wild. I'm pulling for you, Tyrone.
Oh, I remember him. I don't know if it was because Notre Dame was losing when he was there, or
I don't think anybody could have brought Notre Dame back at that time.
I don't either.
How long had Lou Holtz been gone?
I don't know, not very long. I think was he hired right after Lou
It
Holtz?
might have been right after Lou Holtz.
I think so.
Yes.
Finally Lou Holtz this year, I heard him say that Gene Chizik was the worst head coach to ever win a national championship. Well, I'm sure he was thrilled to be able to say that after 20 years, since he was the last one to win it that shouldn't have won it.
Exactly. And I tell you, I'm a big Jets fan, and I still haven't forgiven them for hiring him.
Condoleezza Rice is interesting to me. I mean, she knows a lot about
and she's smart. She's smart.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think she'll be fair about it. I think, I was kind of worried about the committee is how they would.
But I'm surprised they
Come
got
about.
as many SEC ties as they do.
I know. I mean, Condoleezza Rice, she's got a lot of integrity with her. And there was a lieutenant, what was it? Let me get back up here.
That Air Force retiree?
Yeah, Lieutenant General
Yes.
Michael Gould. He said he recently retired from the United States Air Force. He's a 1976 graduate of the Air Force Academy and former Falcons football player. A well-commanded pilot that had over 3,100 flight hours. He's 60 years old. So, there's two people there that's going to keep the integrity of it up, I guess.
And they're going to need that. And people with brains.
There's going to be the BCS. Everybody thought it was a disaster when it first came out. Just wait till this January.
Oh, boy.
But I think they said that they're going to start meeting the fourth or fifth week of the season, and they'll meet once a week. until the end of the regular season.
And assess all the teams that are battling for it.
That's right. And there's a lot of guys on here that, Barry Alvarez and Tom Osborne.
He's well respected. Tom Osborne, well respected. I want some people up there that know football.
Yeah, the guy from Arkansas, Jeff Long, he was a two-sport athlete at Ohio Wesleyan in the late 70s and early 80s.
And he's been involved with sports the whole time since then.
Yeah, he's been the athletic director at Pittsburgh and Eastern Kentucky and served in senior positions at Oklahoma, Virginia Tech, and Michigan.
That's a good resume.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going for him. Pat Hayden.
Of course, it speaks for himself.
At USC, he's a Rhodes Scholar.
Exactly.
So, and I didn't know he's a former USC quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And played pro ball.
Yeah, for the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
So we got people from every conference on there.
And that's good. You get input from everybody. And, well, like I say, I'm looking for 2 SEC teams in there anyway.
I believe you're right. I think there will be.
I mean, it's going to be hard not to. And, every year we have a couple, 2 or 3 teams in the top 5, a couple in the top 4. So, what are you going to do? You're going to send 2 SEC teams, and, of course, they're going to match them up to knock one of us out. But maybe it won't work that way.
Well, 2 of the teams will probably be from the West, from the SEC West.
Yes.
And then you go in and say Florida or somebody comes back this year and wins the SEC championship. Then you got somebody from the East and the West, or somebody from the East and 2 teams from the West.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see how it pans out.
I can't wait to see how, they said that they were going to have to take in consideration the strength of schedule and basically the same thing the BCS computers were doing. Mm-hmm. But now you got the human aspect of it. Well, if they're going to just go by strength of schedule and how you performed, how is that going to affect Florida State and
it's going to kill some of those teams. Ohio State plays one ranked team this year, and got beat.
Yeah, they played Wisconsin, who was ranked number 22 at the time. They won that game, but then they played Michigan State, and
for all the marbles and couldn't do it.
Yeah, and Michigan State surprised me beating Stanford in the Rose Bowl.
Sure. Well, it held up that it wasn't a fluke them beating.
Yeah.
Ohio State.
He would have really made Ohio State look bad if Michigan State had lost.
Gone out there and gotten beat by Stanford. I was pulling for Stanford, though. I like Stanford.
I do. I like Stanford. I like their coach, Coach Shaw. I think he would be high on my list as a head coach for any SEC school.
Exactly. Well, he plays defense, and you got to be smart to get there.
Yeah.
And he makes you play defense. And it's probably one of the only few teams in the Pac-10 that plays defense.
Yeah. I think Oliver Luck, too, he's probably most famous for raising Andrew Luck, but he's been with some NFL programs, too, but he's now the director of athletics at West Virginia. So
he's knowledgeable of football, and that's what I like. And I believe he'll be biased.
I do, too. A lot of people don't think Condoleezza Rice should be on there because they say, she doesn't know anything about football.
I believe Condoleezza Rice knows something about everything.
Condoleezza Rice, I've heard her speak about. I hadn't been to see her in person speak, but I've heard her speaking on TV and on ESPN even, and she's pretty knowledgeable about not just football,
about everything.
But she said, I'm from Alabama. I had to learn football when I was growing up.
You got no choice, yes.
So all of them seem the only one that. I don't know, Tyrone Willingham, as far as a resume, he was really the only one that's just the coach and nothing else because Barry Alvarez and Tom Osborne, they've been athletic directors and coaches. So
I've seen both sides of it. And
we'll see.
I'm looking forward to it. And I like what Nick Saban said when they made the change. They asked him what he thought about it, and he said, and other coaches did too, not just Saban, but you got to win your games.
Yeah.
You win your games, you got no reason to complain. If you've got a 1 or 2 loss, you might want to complain then because you're not going. But, the deal is win your ball games, and you go to the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, it's just like in 2004, Auburn went undefeated. They didn't get a chance to play for the national championship because USC And was it Nebraska or Oklahoma? I think it
Oklahoma,
was Oklahoma
and Utah.
We're all undefeated.
Yes.
And
a 14 playoff right there. Auburn's in it.
Yeah.
And I believe that year Auburn would have beat everybody.
I do too.
I mean, they wore us. They wore Alabama out. They wore everybody out. Had two of the best running backs in the nation.
They had 4 kids off that team.
Four
Players
yes.
drafted in the top 10 of that year's NFL draft.
Ronnie Brown, Cadillac.
Jason Campbell and Carlos Rogers.
Yep, that's it.
And, you got 4 top 10 draft picks on one team.
Well, they didn't want and I still say this. They didn't want Auburn playing in that thing.
No.
I mean, and matter of fact, Oklahoma lost. It might have not been that year, but I remember when was it Brando that said you don't have to win your conference championship to go to the national championship game. Well, I mean, if you don't win your conference championship, why would you go to the championship game if you can't win your conference? And sure enough, they go and Southern Cal beats Oklahoma. That is right, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Reggie Bush and Matt Lyon.
Exactly, yes. And I can't believe that guy kept his job after saying that.
Well, you can give your picks in just a minute. My 4 picks to be in the playoff this year is the winner of the Iron Bowl and maybe even the loser of the Iron Bowl or LSU. One of those, 2 of those 3 teams. I
agree right there. We're on the same page right there.
Oregon and Florida State.
Well, I can't help but agree with you there because Oregon's there every year now. Ever since Oregon went and played Auburn a few years ago, and even before that, Oregon was hanging around the top 5 every year. They're going to be a top 5 program every year, I believe. And Florida State, with their weak schedule, they'll be back.
Yeah. Well, I think Florida State does have to play Notre Dame and Oklahoma State. So those are 2 tough games this year.
Yeah.
And both of them in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
So
I hope one of them upsets Florida State and we can get rid of them. But I don't mean that.
Well,
I do.
Just say there's one. Just the SEC champion is in the Final Four, and we've already said Florida State and Oregon. Who do you think might be the? I hate to say Ohio State.
Well, I mean, you got to say them because of their schedule. I mean, they've lost 1 game in 2 years, but haven't showed anybody anything, and they might be there.
They might.
But I'd like to play them.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them play a SEC team during the year. I mean, that's something that almost seems like that's taboo for Ohio State to do nowadays.
Well, Urban Meyer coached in the SEC, so
he wants to stay away from
He's
that.
Not going to. He knows how it is. He's not going to schedule an SEC team.
He might end up retiring again.
Or have him go back to the heart doctor.
Yeah. Poor Urban. And the main reason why I'm suggesting that there's 2 teams in the playoff is because of this recruiting that the SEC does every year. And this past year is just phenomenal. I mean, how do you keep those teams out? These teams, every one of these teams that were good last year are going to get better. And the rest of the country's got to step up if they want to play ball with them. So I'm looking for 2 teams from the SEC. Hey, and it would have been that this year. Alabama was, at one time, they were number 4. Missouri was number 4 at one time, number 3. That ends they're in the playoffs.
Well, and then that's Alabama. It was Alabama, Auburn, and Missouri all up there in the top 5 at the end of the year last year. And Missouri was number 39 in recruiting this year, but Alabama and Auburn were in the top 10 again this year.
Texas A&M, yeah.
And Texas A&M. Well, for the next 4 years, they had the best recruiting classes. These are freshmen coming in. Some of them are junior college transfers, but at least for the next 4 years,
those teams are going to be teams to reckon with. Exactly.
And another thing I saw, I don't know if you read it or not. I think I saw it on the Saturday Down South. It might even been ESPN website. They were listing the teams that played in front of the most fans during the season. Auburn was at number 1. They played in front of more fans than any other team in the country. It was like 1.5 million fans. That's including away and home games.
And how many top 10 teams did they play? What, 4?
They played several.
Yes, and that, you got these stadiums are full. And that's just another recruiting thing. You want to go where these stadiums are full. CBS has it. I mean, recruiting's not going to change for the SEC. I don't care what they do about the BCS, the Final Four. That's not going to change.
Well, Florida State came in at they played in front of 1.3 million. You want to know what place they came in? 13th.
13th.
The 5 of the top 10, no, 8 of the top 10
We're SEC.
were SEC. Ohio State and Michigan were the other two. And Ohio State and Michigan also finished first in home games.
Well, they don't have anything to do on Saturday up there. They all go.
Well, Alabama was number 3 with 101,000. But, you know.
And the facilities in the SEC is picking up every time. It seems like I pick up the paper, I'm seeing where somebody in the SEC is, adding on, fixing their gym, dorms, locker rooms, weight rooms.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned that. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and I think I said that Texas A&M was spending $60 million on their facilities. Well, I was wrong. That was Baylor that's spending $60 million on their stadium. Texas A&M is spending $460 million.
Okay. And if anybody still thinks that Texas is the number one team in Texas, no. Texas A&M's taking that over.
Has anybody heard about Charlie Strong? Anybody heard about him?
Nobody talks about him.
No, we'll be back in just a minute.
Hello, I'm Robert McKay, Mayor of Asheville, Alabama, and candidate for House Seat 30, covering North St. Clair and Southern Etowah County. I would love to represent you in this district. I'm a pro-business, and I believe in small government and less taxes. I can relate to all the people. I am a small business owner, drive a bus for the St. Clair school system, and can relate to all the working men and women in this district. I'm a strong believer in education. Educated people will enrich our economy. I ask for your support in the June 3rd Republican primary. Please visit my Facebook page at robertmckay.33449 for more information. This is a paid political advertisement by friends of Robert McKay. Thank you.
Mom, Dad, parenting is nothing but preparing our children for this journey called life. Hi, this is John Kroll from Big Oak Ranch. After nearly 40 years of raising 2,000 children, we've learned that the society we live in today is trying to rob our children of their future. Our job is to give them a future and a hope. Our children are counting on us to show them the way.
Learn about John Croyle's new book, The 2-Minute Drill to Manhood, by visiting bigoak.org/manhood.
Well, football season's over, and it's everybody's favorite season now. It's tax season. Hey, go by and see our friends Conan Smith, PC, in Rainbow City, Alabama. For all your accounting needs, your corporate, partnership, individual income tax preparation, your monthly payroll, and accounting services. Go by and see them at 3421 Rainbow Parkway, Rainbow City, Alabama. Or give them a call at 256-413-3057.